Now, it's nearly 2 years since Gumtree South Africa has become fully locally owned. The online classified service marketplace maintains the becoming locally owned, hosted and controlled has been a significant strategic boost for the group. And Gumtree South Africa's Chief of Staff, Marcus Badach, joins us with more detail on this. Marcus, thank you for your time and a good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, Nolu. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Wonderful. Good to see you too, Marcus. I'm keen to maybe start off by just maybe giving the viewer some context about Gumtree's journey to becoming fully locally owned.
Thanks, Nolu. Yeah, a really exciting one, and particularly exciting for me. I've been involved and around the brand for almost a decade. I'd say about 9 years now, different capacities from consulting to contracting, and now being on the executive team. And just to see a brand that's 20 years old this year, by the way, which is quite something to be a tech brand and still innovating and being such a stalwart in the industry, to be around and looking at the way forward has just been, I can't explain how exciting it is that we finally have full ownership of our code base, fully South African owned. As great as it was being part of international groups, you just don't quite get the localization and the focus that you need to really take a brand to the next level as we're looking to do in South Africa. So being locally owned now for us means a number of things, and I can ramble on about that. But I think the most important ones are the fact that we control our code, that we can look at how we can deliver features for the South African market that are relevant at a lot faster times. One of those being pay and ship, which we can certainly go into if you'd like to. And I think just the lift in the economy and for locals who want to work with the brand and now can work with the brand, we've seen an influx of interest, and the ability to employ them and build out a local team here in Cape Town and our beautiful offices has just been a heartwarming story. And Gumtree's always felt South African in many ways to most people, and in many ways it is, but now to be fully owned, I think is just the icing on top.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of those strategic opportunities, including, of course, the pay and ship that now present themselves to Gumtree in an environment that is rather competitive, but also where there's so much room for growth.
Sure. So I think unless you're South African, you never quite understand what it's like to trade in South Africa, to buy and sell online in South Africa, and some of the opportunities and risks that come with that naturally. So we live in a country where I think we're skeptical by nature, which is a really good thing. And part of that is our trust and safety, or our concern for when we are engaging online. Like, what are we doing to keep ourselves safe? And is this person real? And how do I protect myself when we engage? Whether that be physical, or whether it just be, I don't want to get scammed and lose money or have something stolen from me. So there's a number of initiatives we've taken. A while back, we introduced something called ID verification, which you'll see come into much more of the spotlight as pay and ship come to market. ID verification is just our way of saying we physically can verify you are who you say you are, that we can check with Home Affairs that it matches your face and your ID document, which gives us a level of peace and security within that. And then you can build off those different trust blocks, if you will. Pay and ship is going to be, it's in beta testing, very exciting with a number of closed users, or what we call a closed beta test, which simply means that we have the ability for a user to sell something on Gumtree, have it paid for to an escrow service. So think of that as paying money to Gumtree that we hold safe for you. And then we can have it delivered directly to the buyer. They can inspect the item. Should it be exactly as described, they can say, I'm happy, and the money gets released to the seller. Or, hey, this is not quite as you described it. I'm going to return that, have the money refunded back to me, and not lose out on any potential money or maybe a bit of time, but I think it's well worth it from a trust and safety point of view. So for us, we find that's going to be a game changer. It does a few more things than solve trust and safety. It opens up the entire market. So you have a national footprint now. Think of a small business owner who's selling used electronics or cell phones or laptops. You're no longer confined to local only. You can now ship nationally and do that with peace and security. And buyers can have the option, obviously, inspecting the item before actually releasing money, which we think is going to be a complete game changer.
Absolutely agree.
With that,
please go ahead.
So the other point, one other point I wanted to mention was what a lot of people don't understand or realize about a company like Gumtree is that because we've been doing this for so long, and we have local feet on the ground. We're more than just a software layer when it comes to protecting people. We have a physical team of people. I won't turn the camera around and walk around the office now, but we have teams of people who are actually monitoring and looking at advert quality. If people have issues, they can reach out to us. We've just turned on live chat, which means you can actually chat to our agents live. They're not bots, they're real people who will say, is there a challenge? How can we help you? Okay, be careful of this. We can check if that advert doesn't look quite like it should. Be careful of this, or ask that question. So we really are invested in more than just a word of trust and safety, but to fully deliver that into our product experience, which we're really excited to be doing.
I love that a lot, Marcus. It does speak about, also just being able to understand, like you say, our unique landscape as South Africa. I also want to speak about the issue of then just being competitive here, because, of course, in the past 20 years, many new players, we've got e-commerce players, social media, also the likes here. It does mean that, a little bit more work has to be done to be front and center of a buyer or a seller. Let's talk about that work.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that you're always going to get new entrants to the market, which is good to breed competition. And I think you're going to get a lot of what we call vertical specialists spinning up, where they are very focused on a specific part of the market, and they do that really well, but it is only one part of the market. I think the strength with a brand like Gumtree is that what we would be called a marketplace or a classifieds. So you have a lot of different categories where you could come to a one-stop shop and get the best of both worlds. So why that's important for us is that we never, and this might come across a bit weird, we're never aiming to be number one in a vertical play. So what I mean by that is we never want to be just about cars and you get the best cars to buy from dealers. We find that our strength is actually having a cross-platform strength where, hey, you want to look for a used car, that's fine, you can do that here. You could switch over to some electronics, some used clothing over there. You need some services for your garden or pets. It's a general platform where we have a much higher engagement for our user and a one-stop shop. And if you take those trust and safety blocks and build out from there, you have a central place where you know that if you're engaging with people, hey, they are trusted and verified, and I don't have to risk actually paying money off platform or chatting off platform. I can do that all within Gumtree, keeping trust and safety, not having to jump around to different sites. Of course, there'll always be competitors. Some of them will do them really well, and I think we're only encouraged by that, and we can learn from each other. But for a brand that's 20 years old and still inventing itself, I think we bring a lot of peace and security to what people can do on the platform going forward.
Well, Marcus, I'm looking forward to seeing it all unfold, but also just seeing, all the innovation that's emerging. I think that's really very exciting. Thank you so much for your time today. That was Gumtree South Africa's Chief of Staff, Marcus Badach.